Gary McKinnon's hopes of avoiding years in an American jail for hacking into a computer at the Pentagon seem to be looking just a little bit brighter. David Cameron has raised the case with Barack Obama and told Sky News he was confident of a solution. Mr. McKinnon has Asperger's syndrome and his family have been battling to prevent his extradition to the US. His mother, Janis Sharp, joins us now live from her home in Hertfordshire. Thanks very much indeed for joining us, Janis, this afternoon. Your reaction to what's been happening over the last 24 hours or so?
I think it's incredible that David Cameron has actually raised this with Obama. We couldn't believe it when we saw it on television that they were both discussing Gary and wanting to find a solution. So we're hoping that now Gary can be tried in the UK as David Cameron and Nick Clegg had promised pre-election. And that would be a good solution for both America and for Britain. So that's our hopes.
So just for clarification, what conclusion are you hoping for? Do you acknowledge that he did wrong?
Of course he did wrong, but he was left on a computer connection for 3.5 years after his arrest in March 2002. And if Gary had been the slightest threat, they would not have left him online for 3.5 years. Also, Robert Gates said that thousands of people hack into the Pentagon every month. But Gary, the high-tech crime unit told Gary that he was looking at 6 months, which was the sentence here at the time. And Gary is very naive, he has Asperger's, and he admitted his crimes. He had no lawyer with him, and this is basically what's put him in the position that he's in now. It was not a very serious crime. It was a stupid, incredibly stupid crime, and the US have already said that the reason they had no passwords or firewalls on these particular machines is because they weren't top secret. They weren't very sensitive. So that's just really all. Gary has gone through 8 years of incredible trauma because he has a genetic terror of travel. He doesn't go abroad. He doesn't leave North London. He always stays at home. And the extradition in itself would be so frightening for him that all we've asked is, could Gary be tried here? Originally, he was offered a plea bargain of 1.5 years. And the reason he couldn't accept it is because of the terror of travel. So if Gary can be tried here in his own country, sentenced here, and I'm sure Obama's not vindictive. He doesn't want the first person in the world ever extradited for computer misuse to be a guy with Asperger's who was in a dial-up connection 8 years ago. When I looked at those two men, two powerful men with so much on their plate, talking about really sensitive issues like BP, and they could still consider Gary, I really believe that they'll do the right thing. I really do. I trust in them.
Do you think your son will have to spend some time in jail, though, either here in the UK or over in the US?
I think he'll have to spend some time in jail here, although he's had an incredibly horrific sentence, although people don't realise that. I mean, people who murder people don't go through what Gary has. He's never hurt anyone. He's not murdered, he's not raped anyone. It was completely wrong what he'd done. He regrets it bitterly, but what he was doing was tapping in a keyboard in North London, looking for reversed engineering technology of UFOs. Incredibly stupid, totally wrong, and he left notes saying their security was awful, they had no passwords. He absolutely should not have done it. But if Gary can be tried here, it would be a massive relief for us because it's not just Asperger's. The deterioration of his mental health is massive, and we're extremely worried about him. And for him to be tried here where his family are, surrounded by people he knows, in a country he knows, it would be a huge relief for us, it really would.
How is he?
So that's our hopes. He's very bad because although I told him, and he was quite shocked when I told him about it, but he's scared to hope. He has hope, but he's frightened to hope because if he lets himself, then it could be so much worse if it didn't transpire. But Nick Clegg and David Cameron have always said that they would not allow Gary to be extradited. They would try him here in the UK. So many cross-party politicians. Keith Vaz has spoken up incredibly for Gary. The Select Committee had an inquiry about it. There's so many people that really believe this is wrong. There has not been one British person extradited to America under this extradition treaty for a crime connected with terrorism. Not one, but yet we were told that that's what this extradition treaty was for, but it isn't what it's been used for. There's a woman called Liz Prosser who is threatened with extradition. She's on chemotherapy. And it's after 12 years of taking her own daughter from America. I really hope that people like that can be spared the dreadful prospect of extradition. I really do.
When will you know what's going to happen?
I've no idea. We didn't know anything about this. And by chance, I switched on the television. And when I saw it, I thought it was amazing. It was amazing of David Cameron to raise this with Obama. Obama smiled. And afterwards, he said that they'll try and find a solution that will be appropriate. And Britain does everything for America too. Our young men go off and they die in Afghanistan, they die in Iraq. We always stand side by side with America. So I think that Obama will have compassion. And we all know that governments can do anything they want. They can. Before they refused the extradition of General Pinochet, of suspected IRA terrorists. I think Obama's, the Bush era is gone. We have a new era. We have Obama here, and we have a coalition government that really seems to, that are going to change the treaty to make it equal. It seems to be a good time, a new start, really, doesn't it?
Janis Sharp, we appreciate you taking the time for talking to us this afternoon. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.